If your cat is straining in the litter tray and they're really constipated and uncomfortable, then today I'm going to be talking about how you can treat that at home and how you can prevent your cat from becoming constipated in the first place as well. And so moving on to my second question, which is from Lorraine, who writes about her 18-year-old cat that his stools are very hard and he's constipated and very uncomfortable. He was on Cronulac oral, but is there anything else that I can give him until I get to the vet? Okay, so this is really going to depend to a certain extent on what the causes of constipation are in this cat. And there are a number of different causes. So we can get dehydration, and that's probably the most common, especially in an older cat. And that's often caused by something like kidney disease or diabetes being an underlying problem. So much like the last question about a dog on steroids drinking more, similarly with this, if we've got an underlying condition like kidney disease or diabetes, that's going to be causing a cat to produce a lot more dilute urine. And as a result, it can be difficult for them to maintain their hydration through drinking. So that's one cause of constipation in cats. Other causes include something called Megacolon, which effectively is when the colon or the back end of the intestinal tract stops being able to contract effectively and stops being able to move that fecal material through the intestines and out the other end. A previous pelvic fracture or a tumor can also cause problems because they can actually cause a narrowing of that pelvic canal, of the colon or of the anus, and actually kind of cause a real problem for the stools to just simply fit through. Arthritis or anal gland disease or other painful conditions can also cause constipation because they can just cause a reduction in the desire to defecate. So if a cat knows that it's going to hurt, they're going to just hold on for longer and longer. So the stools build up and it dries out, and then we get constipation as a result. Also, if there's something abnormal actually within the stool, so that could be bones, little bone fragments, that could be bits of hair. So if your cat's a chronic groomer or they've got long hair and that's building up, then that can cause an abnormality in the stool. And again, it kind of gets stuck, then gets dry, and we get some severe constipation. And then stress can also cause a problem. So if there's not enough litter boxes or if there's nowhere to toilet, again, a cat's going to hold on for as long as they can before they go. And that's going to cause problems here. So what can we do about treating constipation? Well, lactulose, which is what this cat was on, is a very good laxative. So it's actually a synthetic sugar which isn't absorbed by the gut, but instead it acts to pull water into the colon, which prevents the stool from drying out. It softens the stool, softens the poop, and then improves the passage through the bowel. So it often does a very good job, although the dose needs to vary quite a lot sometimes. So we kind of give it to effect. So if we're producing diarrhea, then we're giving too much. But if the stool is still really firm and we're still having problems, then we can always give it at a higher dose or a little bit more frequently. But clearly that's something that you're going to want to be talking to your vet about. Now, adding fibre is something that can also help. So fibre is really important for colon health. It improves contractions as well, and so can treat constipation. Now, we can add fibre with a number of different ways. We can give Metamucil, we can add wheat bran, we can add canned pumpkin to the food, and that can all help. Conversely, though, with cats, and cats being a bit more of a challenge sometimes than dogs, for a number of different reasons, some cats will actually respond better to having a low fibre diet. So, maybe assessing what your cat is currently being fed, how much fibre is in that. If it's a high fibre diet already, then try to reduce that to make a much lower fibre component in the diet. But if they're being fed a normal food, which is generally quite low in fibre, then actually adding that can help. And then really, hydration is key. So a lot of these things work by a lot of the laxatives work by drawing water in and softening the stools. Well, if we're hydrated, then that's going to help prevent it in the first place and help make any laxative treatment more efficient. So we can increase our cat's water intake with a number of different ways. So that can be through feeding of wet food. We can add water to the food. You can add fresh water into different types of bowls. So it's important to have different types of bowls throughout the house. Some cats will like drinking from plastic, some from metal, some from glass. They all impart a slight flavour onto the water, and cats can be really sensitive to that. Equally, giving bottled water or filtered water rather than tap water, depending on where you live and depending on what your water quality's like, might be beneficial. We can also make broth, so you can boil up a bit of chicken or some vegetables in some water and then use that as a broth to add a little bit to your cat's water bowl. you can actually kind of freeze portions of that so that you can have kind of broth ice cubes and add that to the water, which will make it last a little bit longer. We want to really be avoiding any stock cubes that have got a lot of salt or anything in it like that, because that can cause problems, especially in an older cat where there might be an underlying kidney problem. And then running water is another big benefit for cats. So a lot of cats will like drinking from running water, so you can obviously leave a tap running, but having a pet or a cat water fountain can actually be really beneficial in our older cats that are struggling to maintain their hydration. Now, I've actually got a separate article that I'll link to in the show notes that goes through all of the different ways about how to get a cat to drink more water. So if you're struggling with this for your cat, then I'd encourage you to check that out. And then other things that we can do is to make sure that there are enough litter trays so that your cat's not having to hold on. Also make sure that your cat can easily access them. So if you've got an older cat who's really arthritic, actually a lot of litter trays, they have quite high ramps, or if it's enclosed, they might have a narrow entrance to get into that tray, and that can really cause them problems actually accessing their tray, even if there are plenty around or if they're the only cat in the house. So try and use a tray with a lower lip, or use a ramp so that it's easier for your cat to get up into it. Also, exercise can help to mobilize the stool and to treat or prevent constipation. So depending on what your cat enjoys doing, that could be playing with a mouse on a string, or whatever it is they like to be doing. And then finally, just to make sure that we're treating any other conditions as well. So like arthritis, like I say, we want to be making sure that there are treatments in place for the other conditions. So are they getting an anti-inflammatory painkiller? Are they getting a kidney diet to treat their kidney disease? Are they getting insulin to treat their diabetes? And is that treatment effective and working well? So I hope that gives you a few ideas of how we can go about treating constipation in cats, and really having a thorough understanding of the causes in the first place makes a big difference.
You've been watching the Dr. Alex Answers video podcast. Remember to subscribe and head over to dralexanswers.com for any links, downloads, and get your question answered.